Unexplained 2026 2026 Never saw you were dinner far away, far away.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another speaker announcement for Festival The Unexplained 2026. I'm joined tonight by my co-host and great friend, Alistair Stewart. Just say hello for us and the community. So a little bit about tonight's guest. So tonight on the podcast, we're stepping into a world where the unexplained lurks just beyond the edges of everyday reality. From strange encounters and legendary creatures to ghostly visitations and the mysteries that refuse to be solved. Tonight's guest has spent years exploring the darker corners of folklore, paranormal research and high strangeness. Through his work, he's built a platform that has become a gathering place for people fascinated by the unknown. A place where cryptids roam, haunted locations are investigated, and the boundaries between myth and reality are constantly questioned. His website and podcast have featured conversations with some of the most fascinating researchers, investigators, and storytellers from across the world of the paranormal. Whether it's Bigfoot sightings deep in the wilderness, eerie hauntings that defy explanation, or ancient legends that refuse to fade into history, tonight's guest has made it his mission to dive headfirst into these mysteries and bring these stories to an audience. If you're someone who enjoys exploring the strange, the mysteries and mysterious, and the damn right chilling, you're definitely in the right place tonight. So grab a drink, settle in, and get ready for a fascinating conversation as we welcome the man behind Mysteries and Monsters. Please welcome Paul Bestall. How are we, Paul?
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure, and thank you for such a beautifully worded introduction. I'll have to walk out the door sideways now, Jay. So thank you very much.
Not a problem at all, my friend. And welcome, obviously, for speaker announcement for Festival The Unexplained. So obviously, you know, I've got a lot of interest in cryptozoology myself. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is you do in your research?
Exactly. I've been very fortunate over the years, as you mentioned in the introduction, Jay. I've built a platform from scratch, really. Obviously, being based in the UK was a bit of an uphill slog at first, as anything is when you're discussing a lot of strange things that don't live on our shores. Yeah. But I've been very blessed to build some really good relationship with some incredible individuals and organisations over the years, and so I've been able to speak with some of the best researchers in regards to cryptozoology, both here and abroad, from Bigfoot to Dogman to weird creatures that nobody's really sure what the hell's going on, to strange sightings along the east of Yorkshire in Bempton and the like under Paul Sinclair's investigations. So it's a fascinating topic.
Paul's a very good friend of mine.
Yes,
so I've been myself up to Bempton and Bridlington, and Yeah. Some of the stories are really eerie. And I think one of the misconceptions when people think of, especially the crypto sort of stuff, is that, it always happens further ashore and abroad. We see a lot on these American shows. But what people don't realize is we have a rich history of, not just dogman sightings, but also things like, Sasquatch and what people describe as Bigfoot. So,
yeah, very much so. From the tip of Scotland all the way down to Cornwall and everywhere in between, Jay.
Wow. So how did you get started into this? What started your curiosity?
I've always been fascinated by the weird. I grew up in a haunted house. My grandmother was part of the spiritualist movement. And so we had a very sort of supernaturally leaning childhood. I mean, had to really growing in a haunted house. So, and I was of that generation, I think, where we were quite spoilt with incredible television programs that were just landing, brilliant magazines that were out at the time, and a couple of really notable cases when I was sort of 10 or 11, when I think you're looking for that thing from sort of transitioning from being a kid to being a teenager. And I got bit on the backside by the weird, and that sort of propelled me through my teenage years from that point on, Jay. So really nothing's been off the table ever since.
No, as I explained to a lot of my friends, everything's on the table, everything's off the table at the same time.
Yes, very much so.
Is there any sort of aspects of this? Obviously, cryptozoology and myths and monsters and whatnot is so vast. Is there anything that is a personal favourite to yourself, or?
I mean, I could dive into the world of Bigfoot and strange cryptids all day, every day, I think, Jay. But I like the weird cryptids, the ones that just pop up for no reason, that everybody's a bit perplexed about, like things like the frogman or the lizard man or the Van Meter monster. These creatures that turn up once or twice or for a week and then just disappear, and we never hear about them or anybody sees them again. And they're my favorite kinds of cases, because they're even more of a mystery than the usual kind of monsters, because obviously, as is currently going on at the minute, Ohio's got a major Bigfoot flap on, with loads of people reporting sightings there at the minute. But it's been a while since anybody's seen a frogman wandering around, or a strange lizard man, or enormous giant flying birds or reptiles. So I love all cryptids, but it's the lesser seen ones, the weird ones, and they're always a bit odd. So I like those kinds of ones, because they're the ones you got your teeth in, because you've got less to work with, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And to come and obviously there's, when people describe these encounters, there's nothing to be gained, is there, by coming forward and saying you've seen something that's so obscure?
Absolutely. Unless you want to be ridiculed.
Yeah, exactly. And I know from talking with Paul on a personal level, sometimes it takes these witnesses 20 or so years to come forward, because they fear that ridicule, because they've seen something that just does not fit in what our realms of reality or what we believe. We've been taught through academia and mainstream science and whatnot. So I think it challenges the concepts of everything we're taught as our reality, is what I'm saying.
Very much so. And you can often see when people have had an encounter of a strange creature, how it completely changed their way they view the world. You can see it's had an emotional and, I don't know, even a spiritual change with them, because, as you said, AJ, everything that they've been told and we get told about the world around us, when you see something that's apparently doesn't exist, or it's a hoax, or nobody can understand what a bear looks like apparently, then what do you go? And as you touched on there are so many people who have come forward with strange creature sightings that have been mercilessly castigated. Even before the days of being online, people would make character hits on TV shows and in magazines, and you'd have strongly worded letters calling people idiots and the like. Whereas these days, everybody just goes on the internet and says, well, I think that person's an idiot and they're a liar. And so, there's very little for these people often to be gained other than ridicule. And so anybody that comes forward, good luck to them, because they're not doing it because they want to be rich and famous, because that never happens.
No, it doesn't. Even the guys that are selling a few bucks, it's not like they're making hundreds of thousands off telling their story.
Absolutely. I'd like to know who is, Jay, because the skeptical argument is everybody's doing it for the money, but nobody seems to have any. So where is it?
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
Paul, what would you say is the one story that really sort of sticks out to you? What's your favourite story that you've heard?
Oh. I suppose, I mean, I've been very fortunate as well. I've spoken to a few abductees. I've kind of gone full circle with that. I kind of was really into it about 30 or 40 years ago, and then I kind of lost my way with the ufology a bit and lost a bit of interest in it. And then there was a couple of shows that really got me back into it, and obviously doing the show and speaking with some proper researchers and people that have really done stuff. But I think when I had the opportunity of speaking with a gentleman called Terry Lovelace, who's a very famous case called Incident at Devil's Den, that's probably one of the most unsettling conversations I've ever had, because he's still not sure what happened, and it fundamentally changed everything about his life, changed friendship with his best friend. It's completely altered the last 50 years of his life. And he's such a lovely, well-spoken, eloquent man, that it's difficult to comprehend just how frightened he must have been through that incident, for whatever reason or whatever occurred to him, Ali, that it did send a chill down my spine. And it's not often, because we talk about all kinds of weird and strange cases. I mean, I often touch on missing people cases as well, which can be deeply unnerving as well. But that, I think, is just because there's a complete lack of control. You've no idea what's happening. Once again, you're in a situation that apparently doesn't occur. There's no evidence for none of these people are telling the truth. And it deeply unsettled me for quite a few days, which, like I say, I've talked about hauntings and all kinds of weird stuff and people that have, run into cryptids and the like. But that, for some reason, I would say, it's always the one that I thought about the most afterwards. I had a kind of paranormal hangover after it. It stayed with me for more than I think I've ever done an interview before.
Wow. There's actually a brilliant question in the chat from Chris Evers.
Right.
Great friend, obviously puts on the OLM conference, been involved in ufology and a lot of the subjects we're interested in for a number of years. But he's asked, which of the British-based cryptids do you think has more evidence to prove it exists, and why?
Well, I don't think ABCs, Alien Big Cats. I don't think there's any argument there here.
Yeah.
Personally, I would say that is the one, without a shadow of a doubt, is 100% here. I've spoken to people that have seen them. Some of our mutual friends have done some incredible work in regards to researching other sightings. I mean, I've seen footage which is categorically a large black cat of some description. Yeah. It's not an out of focus tabby cat. And I know where it was shot, because it wasn't shot too far from me. It was shot in Castleton near Derbyshire a couple of years ago. There is no argument there. And we know that there's been dozens of non-native cat species killed in this country, from leopards to all sorts. So for me, they're the ones. And I know some people say, well, they're not really a cryptid, but cryptozoology is the study of animals that are either supposedly extinct or not supposed to exist. And I think sometimes people forget that it's not, in the world of cryptids, it's not just, your top dogs like Nessie and Bigfoot and Dogman. We've got, creatures that shouldn't be where they are, like capybaras in the Norfolk Broads. That is classed as a cryptid, because as far as I'm aware, the Norfolk Broads are not in the Amazon. So these are the things that I love, because we know they're there, and there's hundreds and thousands of people have these sightings, and they're always, once again, we're talking about something fairly normal, and these people are always told that they don't understand what a cat looks like.
Yes.
So I'm sure Chris might be disappointed with my answer, and he'll probably send me a message later to give me some ribbon. But for me, I don't think there's no if, buts, or maybes. They're here.
Yeah. As you mentioned earlier, obviously we've got mutual friendship with Paul. Obviously, yeah, you know, you've seen his last documentary, Wolfland.
Yes.
Brilliant documentary for boots on the ground evidence.
Yes.
What do you think about the stuff obviously Paul's getting to do with like obviously there's a history with the Flixton werewolf going back to the early 1900s. But what people were seeing back then, they're now seeing today. Do you think this is something that permanently lives in our reality, or is possibly sort of interdimensional?
Well, I think the one problem we often have with situations like this is that there has to be one solution. Sometimes some people will always say, "Oh, well, it must be doing this."
Yeah.
Whereas I often think, well, why can't several things be happening at once? Because if we understand the world around us, sometimes there will be coincidences that occur that you think, that's a bit strange.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the great things about Paul's research is Paul's not trying to tell us what's happening. He's just basically saying, these are the people, these are the witnesses, these are their out of this world experiences in a variety of locations, different times of the year, different people not from the area, people who clearly have no interest in this kind of thing. As you can tell when some of them are speaking, Jay, they're absolutely bricking it when they're talking about what they've seen.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes, for me, I'm going to be brutally honest, I have no idea what's happening. I mean, it could be some kind of parallel dimension that's running across us. These could be certain locations that give off a certain energy that when someone has the right mix or balance or attraction, like magnets, that it plays out something for them. It could be stone tape theory. It could be all three happening in different things, because the other aspect of this is that the sightings are not all the same.
No.
There seems to be very different ones. I mean, two great examples of that from Paul's documentary Wolflands that you mentioned there is you've got the three guys who were in that valley camping.
The trappers.
You know, once again, lads from Rotherham who went out their way to come back and tell Paul about that. So you would say, why would you go 2.5 hours to lie to somebody? You know, you just wouldn't do it.
Just to interject to that as well, these are men that know that woodland.
Yeah.
You know, and if you know anything about Yorkshire men, then you know what I mean? They're not into you know, sensationalizing something, and they're probably used to seeing all kinds of species of animal we go and trapping at night.
Absolutely. If anything,
sorry to interrupt.
Not at all. Not at all. A very valid and fair point, mate. Don't apologise. And so you look at that one, and then you look at I mean, my favourite in that documentary is the mountain biker, who's just ploughing down that road in the middle of that wood. Who is
running beside him? Yeah.
And that, even talking about it now, I've got a chill up my spine.
Yeah, me
because
too.
He's clearly not in our wheelhouse. He's not one of our gang. You know. I'm not to suggest that anybody interested in the weird doesn't go mountain biking or anything, and vice versa. But you can tell everything that conversation, that experience, how it's made him feel is completely alien to him. It's not something he'd ever expected. They're vastly different sightings.
Yes,
and yet they both have a linkage in regards to a similar type of creature being seen, or what the witnesses believe to have seen. And so once again, you don't have it's a bit like an identikit. You're pulling bits from all over, gents. And sometimes it's difficult not for our biases to kind of say, oh, well, it must be this, or this is what's happening. Because what's happening in one particular witness account or experience may not be occurring in the other, like I say. So there could be very different things. And obviously, knowing Paul as well as I do, as I'm sure you'll vouch for, Jay, he's got loads of this. This is, Wolflands is the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
Because once again, there are only so many people who are prepared to speak on camera
Yeah.
So
he's famously said, he said this publicly as well as privately, that for everyone that comes forward and plucks up the courage, there's another 10 witnesses that don't want to come forward because they don't want the attention from this. And I can understand that, because as you've just touched upon, if you're going along, you're mountain biking and you're out trekking, the last thing you would ever expect to see is something like this witness described.
Yeah.
Again, something that just doesn't fit in the molds of our reality or what we believe to be our reality. And
precisely.
And obviously, talking about obviously the areas of Bempton in North Yorkshire, it has all the hallmarks very similar to the very famous Skinwalker Ranch. There's multi-phenomenon going on in one place. You've got UFOs, you've got beasts, you've got things that shouldn't even exist in today's society. Like in Skinwalker Ranch, they found the evidence that the dire wolf has come back. A wolf that's been extinct for, I think it's 10,000 years.
Yep, there or thereabouts, yeah.
So it completely blows my mind that beyond, obviously, the predator monster on the Skinwalker Ranch that George and I has talked about, and some of the things Paul's getting, as you said, it's also things like the black cats. And there's so much evidence. We've got one in Chester that's been seen.
Yeah.
And Chester, it has its rural parts, but it's mainly a city. This thing's been seen in the city centre.
Yes, I remember that those sightings fairly well, actually. Yeah. So Chester is a place close to my heart. My auntie used to have a pub there when I was growing up. So I've been to Chester many times and accidentally walked on the racecourse once. Which an adult led us the wrong way. We were following the Roman walls, Jane. We ended up on the racecourse. Don't know how.
There's a good few pubs on the way there as well. So just sort of quick in a nutshell, what can people expect from your talk at this year's festival?
Well, I hope people will find it interesting. I'll always try and bring a bit of light to it as well, because I think sometimes we can talk about these dark and weird subjects sometimes, but I like the absurd aspects of some of these cases, or sometimes the silly things that happen that people don't realize. So I hope people find it interesting, slightly amusing for the right reasons, and they take something away from it and learn something that perhaps they didn't know 30 or 40 minutes before I start speaking. And hopefully I'll have a couple of surprise subjects up my sleeve to entertain and educate whoever comes to speak to me. So I'm just excited and deeply humbled to be part of the lineup for this year. And I just want to say thank you for inviting me, because it's always very special to be invited to an event or for someone else's show to speak out. It means a great deal to me. So thank you again.
I appreciate that. And obviously, it's an honour to have you on board with the great list of speakers that we've announced so far. We're trying to give, I suppose this year more so than anything, there's got to be something for everyone. Because,
absolutely.
As you know yourself, there's so many rabbit holes that we can delve down. And paranormal doesn't just lend itself to ghosts and poltergeists.
Precisely.
Everything's paranormal till it becomes explainable, in my opinion.
I completely agree.
Yeah, we look forward to obviously seeing you speak in November. I think the audience in the chat tonight seem to have a great deal of excitement about
no pressure.
I'm weirdly, Chris Evers did reply that he actually agrees with you, so you won't be getting any sort of writing afterwards.
Well, like you say, you know what those Yorkshire men are like. You know what I mean? He's all over in East Yorkshire, so he's not too far. He can come around and box me ears if I'd annoyed him.
Just before, obviously, we wrap this up, and I'll let you go on with your Sunday evening. Alistair, is there anything you'd like to ask? Or
yeah, I mean, alongside, obviously, you've got the Mysteries and Monsters channel. That's got a large number of, 384 videos you've got on there now? So there's plenty of content there if anybody wants to watch that.
Yeah.
You're also the co-host, aren't you, for the Ghost Story Guys?
Yes. So that's an Anglo Canadian show. My partner in crime on that is Mr. Brennan Stowe, author, Canadian paranormal author, and I've been doing that for 6 years now as well. So I do that as well. So that's a weekly show. So I do 2 weekly shows, my own, and then I do the Ghost Story Guys. So the Ghost Story Guys is essentially real experiences from real people from around the world, and we speak their truths that they send into us. Sometimes we'll do a theme, so we'll do a certain city or a certain location, or we'll perhaps shine a light on a certain state or a country that often gets overlooked, and we'll pull a collection of stories together from that, alongside some much needed mental health support, and making it a safe and inclusive space for everybody to feel welcome and valued.
Brilliant. Anything else, Alistair?
No, just guys, go give a follow, go watch the content. There's plenty of choice on there. I've been having a look through myself. It's definitely
I'll
going to take
definitely do some investigating myself. But as I say, pleasure to have you on board for this year's festival. As I always say, there's something for everyone there, so please get your tickets. I think Paul is going to be a brilliant addition to this year's lineup, and obviously get a little bit of an insight into what Paul's talk's going to be about in November. So go and check out his work. As I say, monstersandmysteries.com, is that correct?
Yeah, mysteriesandmonsters.com is the website, and if you search for that on any podcast or YouTube, you will find my channel on YouTube, and you'll find me on every podcast site, good or bad, out there in the world.
Oh, that's good to know. I thank you for your time this evening, Paul. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. We'll let you go on with your evening, my friend, and look forward to speaking with you again.
You are very welcome. Thank you again for the invitation. Thank you for your time today, and I'm really looking forward to it too. So take care and look after yourselves as well, chaps.
Take care. Thank you, Paul.
Bye bye.
Bye. So just before we go, obviously, keep your eyes peeled on social media as more announcements come in the coming weeks and months. Ticket links are all on the website, I believe, which I think, Alistair, you know a little bit about.
Yeah, so we've got the full tickets this year. We've gone for a full accommodation package as well, all inclusive. For those local, we also have tickets without the accommodation included, but everything else is in there as well. We've got separate tickets as well for the Saturday party, and we've also got there's tickets just for the after party as well, for those who are interested.
Brilliant. So the location, Worcester White House Hotel.
The Worcester White House Hotel, yeah.
So close to your local train station, I believe. A lot easier to get to than the last location that we ran at. Obviously parking and all that good stuff. And I believe tea and coffee available all weekend.
Yep, free of charge all weekend.
That sounds good. No, obviously, did unfortunately, but really excited for this year. As I say, announcement number 4 in our guest speakers, so that gives you an idea of where we're heading. There's still more to come, which is the great news. There's still more people sat in the wings waiting for us to announce. So please stay tuned and keep an eye on all our social media. As always, please like, share, comment. Obviously, your interaction is valuable to us. And again, as I say, get your tickets in to avoid disappointment. Because the last thing you want is obviously all these great names that we've announced so far and others to add to that. The tickets go and you end up missing out. So don't delay. Payment plans, I believe, are available for tickets. Details of that on the website, are they, Alistair?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, fab. So, unless you've got anything else to add tonight, Ali, should we wrap it up?
I think that's it. Covered everything.
Brilliant. Well, thank you to everyone for tuning in. As always, completely humbled by your love and support. And just on another note, before I go, just to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day, because it is Mothering Sunday, I believe. So all the great people that double up as mums and dads and all that good stuff. We hope you had a brilliant day, and thank you for sort of stepping aside from that and taking the time to tune in tonight. Keep your eyes peeled, and we'll be back very soon with another guest speaker announcement. Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you. Night.
Festival of the Unexplained 2026, the 6th to the 8th of November.